The council hall of the Orion Union was silent, colder than the metal walls that surrounded it. Every representative sat frozen, eyes fixed on the shimmering display hovering above the center platform. The image was of a single ship, massive, angular, and dark as if forged from the night itself. The humans called it the Resolute. The first time the Union had seen that ship, they thought it was a bluff, a relic of human bravado. The species from the blue planet had always spoken with a strange confidence, but none believed their words carried weight. That belief died the moment the scanners touched the surface of the human battleship. Now, weeks later, the Council demanded another session. The Union's fleets had withdrawn from the border systems after the first encounter. They had lost no ships, but what they had seen within the human design had changed them. The data gathered by the scanners was being studied again, frame by frame. Commander Relin, an old member of the Council, stood tall before the assembly. His long limbs trembled as he replayed the footage. "Observe again," he said, voice echoing through the chamber. "The inner structure is not metal as we know it. Every layer is dense beyond measure. The ship's hull, it bends scanners. It consumes the signal," the image zoomed in. The ship's surface was rough with strange patterns, each one pulsing faintly as though alive. A scientist from the Valari delegation leaned forward. "We thought it was interference. It was not. The ship's material feeds on energy. The more we scanned, the stronger the signal became. It returned our own power, amplified until our sensors overloaded." A shiver passed through the crowd. They remembered the blackout that followed the first scan. Entire sensor arrays burned out and every vessel within range had to retreat. Relin continued, his tone lowering. "And inside the hull we found more. They have cores, thousands of them fused into one grid. No species has ever built a vessel that powerful. Our best dreadnoughts would crumble if this ship fired once." Across the hall, murmurs rose. The representatives of the Krull Confederacy whispered in disbelief. "Humans are primitives," one said. "How can a young species achieve such design?" But none answered because no one knew. Meanwhile, far beyond the Council's reach, on the edge of human-controlled space, the Resolute floated in silence near a dying red star. Its surface reflected nothing, swallowing the starlight around it. Inside, men and women walked calmly through narrow corridors filled with humming energy lines. Captain Reeves stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back, watching the holographic map. The outlines of alien fleets blinked at the edges, scattered like frightened prey. "Any new transmissions?" he asked quietly. Lieutenant Mason turned from the console. "None, sir. The Union hasn't dared to cross the border since their last scan, but we've intercepted a few of their research probes." Reeves gave a small nod. "Destroy them quietly. Let them keep guessing." He walked closer to the viewport where the void stretched endlessly. The captain's voice was calm, almost thoughtful. "They still don't understand what they saw. That ship terrifies them, not because of its power, but because it was built by us, humans who once fought each other over oceans and borders." The lieutenant smiled faintly. "Now we fight for the same thing, sir, to make sure they never forget what humanity is capable of." Reeves said nothing. His gaze lingered on the dark metal before him. The ship's heart beat like a pulse, a slow rhythm that felt alive. Deep inside its core, the fusion reactors hummed with controlled fury. Every part of it was born from Earth's scars, technology forged from centuries of war and desperation. The aliens had built fleets with elegance and beauty. Humanity had built weapons that survived fire, radiation, and silence. The difference was not in age or knowledge, it was in will. Back in the council hall, debates had grown heated. Some demanded that contact with humans be cut permanently. Others insisted they must act before it was too late. The Union could not risk a species capable of such unpredictable growth. Ambassador Lura of the Thalan species finally spoke, her tone calm but sharp. "You do not understand what you are dealing with. These humans are not expanding for conquest. Their strength comes from fear of extinction. They have survived what others would call annihilation. Every war has made them stronger. Every loss has turned into invention." She paused and turned toward the hologram of the human ship. "This is not a warship. It is a monument to survival." Silence returned. Even the most warlike delegates could not find words to counter her. But there was one who did not share their restraint. Admiral Krell, commander of the Orion Defense Fleet, slammed his claws against the table. Enough. We cannot let them rise unchecked. If their ship is a threat, then we must destroy it before they build more. The council erupted in noise, but Krell's voice overpowered them all. Send the fleet. Every vessel we have. If humanity dares to stand against the Union, they will be erased. A message was sent that very hour. The largest combined armada in Union history was mobilized. Over 10,000 ships jumped toward the Sol border. The humans detected them instantly. On the Resolute's bridge, the alarm lights flared red. Mason read the data, eyes wide. Massive fleet inbound, sir. Multiple species, multiple vectors. They're not here for negotiation. Reeves took a slow breath. Then they're about to learn what they truly scanned. The ship systems awakened one by one. The hull glowed faintly as the energy patterns along its surface came alive. Massive turrets rose from the sides, each one humming with low power. The crew moved without panic. Every motion was precise, rehearsed, human. The armada arrived in a storm of light. Thousands of alien vessels filled the void. Their formations perfect, their weapons locked. The lead ship transmitted a single command: surrender the vessel or face destruction. Reeves didn't respond. Instead, he turned to Mason. Activate the mirror field. A deep vibration ran through the Resolute. The air shimmered as a translucent wave spread from its core outward. Every scanner, every weapon aimed at it, faltered. On the alien displays, the human ship vanished. Then it reappeared, 20 kilometers closer. Admiral Krell hissed in disbelief. Impossible. That thing moved without jump drive signatures. He ordered his fleet to fire. Thousands of energy beams struck the space where the Resolute had been. Each shot vanished into darkness. The human ship didn't absorb the energy, it redirected it. The beams curved mid-space and returned, tearing through the alien front lines. Within seconds, hundreds of ships were gone. The rest broke formation, scrambling in confusion. Reeves gave a single command. Now. The Resolute's main cannon charged, gathering power from its entire structure. The energy built until the ship itself seemed to glow. When it fired, it didn't release a beam. It unleashed a controlled burst that rippled across space, distorting reality itself. Every enemy ship caught in that wave was stripped of its shields, its systems fried instantly. But Reeves didn't finish them. He let them drift, powerless, staring at the silent ship that floated untouched among them. He opened a channel, voice calm. This is Captain Reeves of the Terran Battleship Resolute. You entered human space uninvited. This engagement is concluded. Return to your territories. Do not test our patience again. The message was brief. The meaning was eternal. Admiral Krell's ship barely maintained life support. His officers were in shock, their screens filled with static. He stared at the dark human vessel that hung before them like a shadow given life. For the first time in his long career, he felt something unfamiliar. Fear. The humans didn't chase them. They didn't demand tribute. They simply waited until the armada turned and limped away. Back in the council hall days later, the surviving captains delivered their reports. Some refused to speak. Others trembled as they described what they had seen. One captain said quietly, "We thought we were facing technology." But it was more than that. The ship reacted as if it knew our every move. It learned during battle. It adjusted. It was alive. The council fell silent once again. None dared to argue. The data was clear. The humans had created something beyond understanding. A warship that wasn't just a machine but an extension of their will to survive. Ambassador Lura spoke once more. You have seen the truth now. The humans do not conquer. They endure. They build weapons not for glory but for warning. They will not strike first, but if they are provoked, none will survive the second strike. Her words echoed through the chamber. From that day, the borders of Terran space were marked as forbidden. The Orion Union withdrew its patrols. Trade routes were rerouted to avoid even the edges of human territory. No one wanted to risk another encounter. But deep in the dark reaches of space aboard the Resolute, the crew continued their silent watch. Reeves stood once more before the viewport, looking at the stars. Mason approached, holding a datapad. Message from Earth Command, sir. They say the Council has backed off. They're calling it a victory. Reeves shook his head slowly. There are no victories in survival, Mason. Only pauses. He turned his gaze to the distant horizon. They'll be back someday. Maybe not in our time. But when they do, humanity will be ready. The lieutenant nodded, then asked softly, "Do you ever wonder what they saw when they scanned us the first time?" Reeves smiled faintly. "Yes, and I think that's what terrifies them most. They saw a reflection of themselves, what they could become if they ever learned to fight for something worth protecting. Outside, the